Josiah.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
So tell me what brings you here today.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about, I've got some problems with work-life balance.
Okay.
I'd like to talk to you about them.
All right. I'm just going to jot a couple notes down while we're talking here. So describe to me what you mean by work-life balance.
Well, I have a pretty stressful job and I spend a lot of time at work, especially lately. I have a big project and yeah, it's just hard to find time for, work and outside of work. And just finding a balance between the two is kind of challenging. So
Okay. And what do you do for work?
I'm an engineer.
All right. That sounds like a pretty important job. Sounds like you've got a lot going on. And what does balanced mean to you?
Well, I think setting expectations and if I am expected to go to work for X amount of time, I'm going to work for that amount of time, and I can be expected to be home. Also, having plans for when I am home. That's kind of my expectation of work-life balance.
Okay. So maybe setting some boundaries between work and home and trying not to blur those boundaries a little bit. Okay. So I want to know what you would like to get out of this session today. What is your goal?
Well, I'd like to get a few ideas for implementing solutions to try to help with the work-life balance problem.
Okay. So, I mean, suppose you have a really good work-life balance. Like if tomorrow your problem went away, what would that look like? What would your day look like?
Well, I would start my day with a routine, standard routine of coffee, breakfast, and then go to work at a reasonable time, and then return at a reasonable time with enough time to spend with my family and animals, and also exercise.
Okay. So it sounds like you've got some good goals in there, and you've got some things that you like to do and you want to make more time for those. So where do you want to go from here? I mean, what can you do to work towards that balance that you're talking about?
I think I can set a routine and try to stick with kind of a set time for when I'm going to work, or getting prepared to go to work and then going to work, and starting to feel an understanding of when I think I'm going to be home, and plan accordingly so that I can do the things that I want to do when I get home.
And what kind of things do you like to do when you get home?
I like to spend time with my wife, spend time with my dogs, and ride my bike. Right now it's kind of hard because it gets dark so early, but I've been working 12-hour shifts or more sometimes, so it's kind of challenging to understand when to fit all this in. But
it sounds like you're busy, but you still find time to do some of the things that you like. You just would like to have more of that time. So it sounds like you really value quality time and maybe taking care of yourself by exercising. Okay. And I mean, what have you done to create more of a balance in your life that has worked for you?
I think setting having a plan for what I'm gonna do when I return home from work is helpful.
Okay. All right. And how would you know if you had achieved that work-life balance? What would it feel like for you?
I think that, you know, if I feel like I've had enough quality time with my wife as well as animals, and had enough time to exercise as well as have a successful day at work, I think that's also, I think, having time to do all of that stuff in one day would be pretty good.
That's what it would look like to have a balance for you. Okay. And you mentioned your wife. So if you were to achieve a work-life balance, what would your wife notice? What would she notice about you that had changed?
I think I would probably be less tired, less, exhausted, because if I don't have a plan when I return from work, I just relax, and it doesn't help me with my work-life balance.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you work really hard, and maybe relaxing could be part of your work-life balance, just in addition to some of those other things you would like to get done as well. But so you're a busy guy, you've got an important job, you have a wife, you have animals. Sounds like you have a lot on your plate, but somehow you are managing to get it done. Just maybe there's room for improvement, and you'd like to feel better throughout the day. But I want to focus on what kind of things that make you resilient, to keep going every day, to get up and do those 12-hour shifts and take care of your family. I mean, what kind of things do you do to have that resilience?
I think planning ahead is very important for that resilience, because if you go into it without a plan, you really don't have a good idea of what you're going to do for the day, and it kind of puts you at a disadvantage.
And do you feel like having a plan empowers you to have a good day? Okay. All right. Well, you've mentioned that you think having a routine and planning things ahead of time is what's going to help you achieve this work-life balance. So tell me some things specifically that, how do you create this plan, and how do you achieve these goals? Let's try to break it down into some more simple tasks that you can do each day. We want to make sure that, we're not being too vague, and that we're specific about little changes that you can make each day to work towards this balance. So what are some things that you think, what's involved in the planning process?
Well, my day, I've got a calendar for work hours to keep me on track. I think it would be useful for me to add on to that with what I'm planning to do after work and before work. That would really help kind of lay my day out. It doesn't have to be, it's pretty dynamic, so it may change.
Doesn't have to be rigid.
Yes, but I think going into the day with that kind of game plan would be
Well, I like that idea. It sounds like time blocking is something that works for you in work, and maybe that's something that you could bring with you in your home life. But I like that you said it doesn't have to be set in stone, because that's not always realistic for people, especially when you have other people that are depending on you, and you live with, and you have animals, and things change. So I think that's really realistic that you set that. So I think that's a great plan. I think we should start there, and then as we have more sessions, we can create more goals like that, and then work towards that balance that you're looking for.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.